Aloha!
Aloha.
I am Krista Ralaxmi-Detten.
Yes, you are.
And you are?
I'm Michael Ditton.
And we are
Infinite
Activation.
Aloha.
And we are coming to you from Diego today again.
Yeah, another beautiful day here in San Diego.
Yeah, spring is coming. It's getting warmer. We have more sun every day. And there are more bikinis, even more than last week.
I need to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk actually about commitments, and with our Facebook Live, I thought that a good focus for us was commitments in relationships as well in professional life. So we kind of have like two legs.
Okay.
And you know quite a bit about commitments in relationships, because you have had one very long commitment relationship behind you. Can you tell a little more about that?
Yeah. I don't know what you want me to tell about it, but the 23-year commitment, and most of it was very wonderful, and times that weren't. You go through communication and you deal with whatever you're with, and that's part of the commitment, is to take any challenges head on and work through them.
Yeah. So it was a really interesting situation this weekend while I was at the Clients in Abundance networking event by the pool in the evening. And we had this one circle that had different questions, and everyone was asked one question, and then they answered one. And one of the questions was, what is something you and your partner are constantly fighting about? And as everyone was answering, we had struggled to figure out what it is, because we basically don't really fight per se like most people do. And then I thought, why is that? And then I realized, of course, because we communicate, we don't suppress things, we let the other know. And this is something you learned also from the previous relationship, that it's very important to do that.
Communication is key.
Yeah, all the time. So that also helps you commit more, because then you are kind of more on the same page and you know what's going on.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit, I thought I communicated extremely well in my past relationship, and everybody else did as well. I mean, because we didn't have those same issues, we didn't have arguments or anything else, but I realized that there's always room for improvement, and it wasn't until after that relationship was over that I found out about the 5 love languages, and have now implemented that into my life as part of what you and I do, and that's something I learned from that past relationship. And it's still a form of communication, even though we had talked a lot and we communicated about a lot of things. There were certain things that apparently we didn't talk enough about, or with the love languages, I was strong in one where she needed the other, and she was grateful that I was strong in that one, but I really needed to pay more attention to the other one, and unfortunately she didn't communicate it well enough to me that I was short in that one. So it's not that I didn't do the commitments and communicate well, it's just I needed to communicate better with that one. So I mean, it was a learning experience, and it's something that I apply in our relationship today.
So what's my number one love language?
You need to have those affirmations.
In what form?
Well, mainly positive affirmations, just acknowledgments and words, to make sure that you, because you didn't have enough of those when you were younger. So I think it's set up your adult life as something that, it's one of the things that you have a stronger desire for.
Yeah. Is there one affirmation you can give as an example now for me?
Word-wise?
Yeah.
Other.
What affirmation is the one which would work for me? most, maybe?
Well, when you and I have trouble, one of the things that you like to hear is that everything will be all right. I don't know. I mean, there's depends on what it is, so I'm not quite sure what you're digging for.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Okay.
And that everything is okay. This is also something we discussed in that networking circle. And I said, this is like actually, I've discovered for very many women, this is very, soothing and calming. But then, of course, we figured while we were talking with all the different women there, they were like, oh, if a man says that, it feels to me that they don't really care and they want me to shut up. Which is not the case for very many women. So that's the thing. We have to figure out what works for us and how it works for us, because as we are more clearer in those things, we can also communicate clearer, and then we can also commit better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I know some of the shortcomings you had. You were also talking about, because I am proud of all the different things that you accomplish, and I always tell you that, you can do it and you can go above and beyond. And I know a lot of times you were told when you were younger that you couldn't do that. And so, like I said, it just depends. I don't know. Was there one in particular you were?
No, I think the main thing is like a woman like me from that background, anything you say is gold,
Yeah.
So it's just like I would like to encourage men, and of course women too, if your partner's love language is affirmations, to figure out what works, and this way you can commit better.
Yeah. And it's not that I wouldn't give anybody an affirmation just because I believe that if they're doing something, they should know that they're doing it well. And people do like those affirmations. I just know that in the 5 love languages, that's the one that you desire most out of all of them. I'm still really, really strong in that.
Your service.
I'm very heavy in service.
Yeah.
And
that's the best king in the world.
Yeah. And that is my strength. But I acknowledge where I'm not as strong and where you need it more. I mean, I know that you love all the service that I do, but I know that it's more important to you that I do the affirmations.
Yeah. So as I was digging, and also today I had my personal Facebook lives about commitments, like more on a general scale. I was also looking into the definition of commitment. And the first one says the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, or etc. And secondly, more like in a business commitment, set an engagement or obligation that restricts freedom or action. And that second one is actually the one which I had for so many years. For me, commitment was something very negative because it felt like my freedom goes away, I can't do certain things and so on. And just prior meeting you, I started to make those changes, and understanding that I had that negative connotation about commitment, I started to change it. I had just finished a 12 months commitment and challenge to do my blog post weekly, which turned out to be a really amazing result because I had so many people now interested in my online class, which I then set up and started to build my new financial income from that as well. And I remember when we sat down and you basically gave me inspiration with your goal setting basics form, the time management, the schedules, daily schedules, and also budgeting. So for me, even though I was kind of like, structured, I had never experienced any structure like that before. And as I was starting to implement this, my life started to change even more, because now I had like containers which were holding my life, my business, my personal life more in kind of like form or together. I always compare this like with, those little pools for kids which you can blow up. So it has like little walls. And most people, if they don't have structures or systems, their little pools, all the water you put in there, it just like leaves because there are nothing to hold it together. And this was what my gypsy life basically was before I met you. And then because of your service and all of your king, way of being, you actually helped me to emerge and kind of invite and initiate my queen. So my to emerge, and I think none of the queens can really actually emerge. They also need structure and system, as weird as it sounds. So, and I think you have actually helped me to create this new type of kind of life. And you also have seen a huge difference in that. Is anything you want to say about that, like kind of observing and being helping me on the side with that positive transformation about commitment?
Well, I think you said most of it. I think the biggest thing is commitment is not a negative thing. In fact, commitment normally allows you to expand. So if you think you're giving up or sacrificing something to make a commitment, you're not thinking properly about it, because there may be a little bit that you give up while you're making that commitment, but it normally is for the better. Or it's something that might be temporary. So I have to give up, a little bit of my time, my play time, to make something happen, which is going to have huge rewards. That doesn't mean I can't do that play time later. It's not lost and gone forever, but you might actually find that the rewards you get from making that commitment is going to way outweigh the playtime, and maybe be a whole new version of playtime. So you just have to, when you make that commitment, know that whatever you might think you're sacrificing or giving up, it's normally going to be for something that's going to be expansive in what you're doing. And I liked your little analogy with the pool. In fact, I think commitment is the air in the tubes. And without the commitment, without the air in the tubes, is when the water runs over. So if you have commitment and you put air in those tubes, you're going to make that full container.
And so as we were starting to build our relationship, I also had to figure out that, wow, what are those, air in the tubes for my relationship commitments? And that's when I came up with the self-declaration for me. And then we did several levels of processes with that, the law of internship first, and then we wrote the contract, which we signed and which we kind of go through yearly. And then, we had created this new container for our relationship as well. And then as this was in place, we started to look into how the individual platforms can be united so that we can build a business together. And then we created Infinite Activation as a business. So, and with both of those, we actually, one of the things I was thinking, what has been kind of like a common thing of thread through keeping these things also together, has been also our weekly meetings. So we have tried to keep those going. Can you tell why are those weekly meetings important, and what do we do there?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is checking in with each other. You and I, we do things together, but we do things independently as well. So that check-in is going to see where we're at. It'll allow us to evaluate what we've done, either individually or collectively. We can discuss what we need to do and put a plan in motion. And sometimes they're just check-ins, but sometimes they're also work meetings as well. So we'll do the check-in, and then we'll actually focus on a task that we've given ourselves. So they're really important to, for the overall picture, to make sure that, we're evaluating what we've done, we adjust as we need, we know where we're going, and we're doing what we need to get there.
And it's also, I think it oftentimes also goes parallel, business as well, personal. So if there's something personal, we talk about that as well.
Yeah. And even though we talk about it on a regular basis anyways, but we have these meetings specifically just to do that check-in.
And then also on the personal level, also have those date nights is very important to put them also in the calendar.
Yeah,
Helps.
yeah. Between date nights and for a while we were pretty good with every Sunday. We kind of got away from that, and now our schedules are all up in the air again. But I think for the next month or so, we can kind of plan again to have a little quality time together, which is real important because one, I kind of like you and like hanging out with you. But two, it's important to for our growth and to to spend that quality time and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, it's when we spend this quality time, it's basically like, if you have a seed in the soil, it's like basically nurturing it. And if you don't do it regularly, unless the soil is really good, it's not going to grow. Yeah. So it needs that constant intention. And one of the new things we are actually going to implement is also to visualize together. We have done that a little bit, but it's also when you have common goals as we can visualize together, so we can also kind of, feed that common goal or common vision together. So it's a very nice way. So, I actually wrote my own definition, and I'll read this, and then you can, or maybe you say your definition of commitment first, and then I will say mine.
Well, I mean, that kind of highlights it. As far as the personal go, I mean, if you make a commitment to somebody, whether it's to be a certain way, do a certain thing, whatever that commitment is, it's upholding. It's like making a promise, and you want to follow through with that promise, whatever it is, whether it's an action or a word or whatever. On the business side, I'm not sure I actually like the way they worded that they're in engagement or obligation that restricts freedom of action. This is true, but that sounds negative because that commitment's going to restrict. If I need to focus, it's going to restrict some of the things that are outside of that focus. The way they worded it, it sounds like it's going to restrict like a bad thing. But what it is, I think it's going to actually create a focus, a laser focus on what it is you need to do, not taking away from the other things, in a different time frame. But it's kind of like making a commitment, a time commitment. A lot of times I'll work in hour blocks. I made a commitment to work in an hour block to do a specific thing. Now, did I restrict myself from freedom or action during that time for everything else? Yes, absolutely I did, because that time is for that task. But that's a good thing.
Yeah, so in a way, it's basically, if you work for certain periods of time, you actually also create a good feeling of accomplishment. Sure. And then you can really take time off, like I deserve that time off as well. So you don't have that guilt feeling in a way.
Yeah, and that schedule helps with that as well, because
you create actually more freedom.
You won't feel guilty if you're, if you have on your calendar time to play, like on our date or our days off. There's no sense of guilt that I should be doing something, because I have scheduled everything that I need to be done throughout the course of the week, and I've accomplished those things.
Yeah. So my personal definition to commitment is a conscious choice to be or do something which is in alignment with my higher purpose and spiritual why, and has the ability to create more freedom and harmony for me and others around me.
That was the other thing I was going to say.
Yeah. So it's really, when I'm aligned with my purpose and my why, it's very easy to commit, because then it's connected to my internal why. And this way, basically, I was also telling in my life that, when we are now looking, we are basically starting the third month of the year. Many people, if they would check in now with New Year's resolutions, so most of them haven't been starting properly, or maybe started but didn't really follow through, and it's already fallen out, So I instead do New Year's commitments. So I say, okay, 12 months, my commitment is and this is always aligned with my purpose as well, with my why. And also with me, starting to work out again regularly. So if I now have more than 5 days when I don't work out, I will become a mess. Like my chemical imbalance will be so bad that I just need to train.
You created a new habit, and your body is used to that habit.
So it's like a lifestyle. So that commitment, basically in a good way, has taken over my, bad habits.
That's why I don't eat ice cream 5 days a week, because 6th and 7th day I have to have it.
Yeah, ruin it all. So, and then I work out, so you don't need to work out, right?
You know what? You burn enough calories for both of us.
Yeah. So, but so to say, to wrap it up, personal and professional commitments are very important. This is very important for you to figure out, also how you define it, because if you don't know what it is for you, you don't also know whether you have, a negative connotation to it. And once you have negative connotation to anything, you can't attract or do it, because you have that inner conflict and resistance happening all the time. So the first task is to figure out what's negative about it, what can you release, what is, invent your own commitment, definition, what is it for you, and then stay put to it for the next, whatever you choose, 5 weeks or 12 months or whatever works for you. And then what are your, professional and personal commitments you will choose for the next 12 months, which have, connection to your purpose and your why.
Yep. Yeah. And, if I know that Crystal always talks about something at the end as far as some of the things that we have to offer. I'm going to also mention right now, I've got 5 people doing a beta test on a new program that I just launched this last weekend. And whether it's a commitment, a task, a goal, as Crystal mentioned, some people make resolutions at the beginning of the year, and there's statistics that show the majority of the people actually within the first 90 days that's fallen off and they're not going through them. A lot of it is because they're either not realistic or they don't have a proper plan in place. And 12 months is a hard time to do, but if you know what the 12-month goal is and you break it down into smaller goals, it's much more manageable. And a lot of people don't do that, which is where a lot of that failure comes as well. But even in a month-long commitment, sometimes with life and everything else, it gets in the way. So this new program that I just finished writing this last week is it's a 7-step process to a 28-day achievement. So we'll be showing that off. I'm gonna once the beta test is at least halfway through, we'll probably introduce it to everybody else. But it's a day-by-day, step-by-step in order to get you through that 28. But you're focused on the day-by-day, not the 28, not the 12 months or anything else. And I think it's going to be something that for anybody that has a goal or a commitment that they're struggling with, it's going to be easier for them to attain that goal or that commitment.
And here is really beautiful to see actually how Michael's inner woman and inner man were cooperating with this as well, inner child. So this idea you got actually during Brendan Bouchard's event.
I did.
And then you took action, and some weeks later it's already seeing the light, and people are already enrolled and can really test it out. And the excitement Michael had in his eyes, like figuring it out, like how to do it and so on, and also taking action on it. This is how these live events can really inspire us to also commit, and also our inner man can step out to help us to manifest these new things, and also kind of create these different formats for our gifts to help other people. And planning time is one way for you to help other people. You're so good at it. You are the king of master planning.
Yeah, well, I love it, and I am good at it because I do love it, and I also know that it allows me, when I properly plan, to do everything that I want to do. If I don't properly plan, I'm not able to accomplish everything that I want to.
So if someone is interested to jump on board still right now, is it too late, or they have to wait till you launch it again?
I'm going to give it, because I have 5 people that's signed up right now, I'm going to give it like the first week or so, just to see how it's going, and I'll reintroduce it again, probably in the next week or 2. I don't want too many people coming at me because it's in that beta and I want to make some adjustments. So I'll run with who I have right now, and then within the next, I'm going to say within the next 2 weeks, I'll either continue the beta with a new group or launch it.
Very cool.
Yeah. Aloha, Male.
Yeah, aloha. And we are very excited also. I'm working to launch also my new 12 weeks coaching program, and some other minor adjustments. And also we still have 6 places available for Hawaii if someone still wants to jump on board for November. And if you need help with anything else, which we have competence of, let us know. We can always customize things as well. And we are very, very happy to help you with your struggles. And if there is anything we could help you with, please don't hesitate to ask.
Absolutely.
So I think that's it for today.
I think that's it for today.
Yeah. So we will now continue the Facebook Lives usually on Wednesdays. It's kind of, I haven't really set the timing, but it's probably going to be around like this 4 o'clock time slot on Wednesdays. So because our schedules changed a little bit, so just like follow the information on our page, so you can kind of jump on board. And if you missed us today, no worries, watch it afterwards. And please share it with as many people as you can, because sharing is caring. Sharing is one way to activate the circulation of energy. If there is anything we can share what you do, let us know so we can do cross-networking. We are always up for helping and promoting also other people and their stuff. So thank you so much for your time and presence and listening to what we have to say, sharing our gifts. And see you very soon.
Yep.
Mahalo. May aloha be with you.